EP kind of came about when we were talking about doing the album, and how recent positive development is, having us to have to release the album closer to 2021.
The album was done, written, recorded, mastered, everything ready to go. And with that getting pushed back, we didn't want to leave a yet bigger gap than we already have left in between releases.
I put forward to the guys, it might be a cool idea to try to put an EP out. Have 6 months, record an EP, and most importantly, make sure that every single song reaches the bar that we set for what an Alustrium song is.
Right off the bat, the idea of doing an EP in this time frame was actually a little bit terrifying for me because, we've always really taken our time when it comes to producing anything, giving ourselves a deadline, not only for writing, but for finishing the production of everything was a bit scary.
I thought it'd be a good challenge for us. Everyone kind of agreed. And luckily at the beginnings of this, which was, back in March, I happened to hit a pretty big vein of inspiration. So I brought a bunch of ideas to the guys, and it was kind of a good shot in the arm as a starting point for us.
When I was hearing what Mike and Chris were bringing, and sending to me, I was really impressed and really happy with it.
We didn't want to half-ass this. We wanted to whole-ass this.
It was an interesting challenge to try to keep in mind, I guess, what I had just done on the album, while still trying to, I guess, put my heart into something that I thought was thematically similar, but not just kind of recovering the same ground.
We were also making sure that we were doing everything in-house. I've typically done just about all the production for the band in the past, but the new album we outsourced mastering, whereas this one we decided, keep costs down, and try to do everything ourselves. So that was, another challenge for me to kind of get better from a production standpoint.
With this EP release, this will be the first time that I'm, officially on record with the band. I joined back in November of 2014 when Tunnel to Eden was already written, recorded, everything was done. I was along for the ride, but I didn't have any contribution towards it. What's nice is that the EP being the first thing that you guys will hear is that I had a lot more time to get used to the writing style and the writing process because we recorded the whole album before the EP.
With each subsequent release from any band, everyone's trying to figure out how to be better songwriters, and I think with this it's just another iteration.
The process of it is it's a little bit different than writing the album that we have, is because we wrote all of this in lockdown.
There's of course added difficulty with the whole pandemic thing. I had to rig up a vocal booth in my basement. That was an interesting process of nailing blankets to the ceiling and running a TV screen down there so Jerry wasn't just waiting for indefinite periods of time while I edited stuff.
Often the band thread would just be us going, "Why don't you go ba 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 da da do it?" and to give criticisms, and that was all four of us doing that back and forth.
It's been a bit of a learning curve, I think, for everybody, but I think it was sort of good practice to put ourselves in a situation where there was a deadline that had to be met and there wasn't any room to compromise on it.
The hardest thing for me was to, one, since I was lacking any kind of decent musical setup, to build one, and then after that figure out how to maximize my space, and from there Chris and Mike would send over ideas for me. Typically I would try and just listen to the drums and bass that they recorded and then all of it together, and base my ideas off of that. Some of the fun is they have a part that they really like that I record something completely different, and I'm sure that they love that. I'm sure that Mike has ripped out some hair.
The other sort of unique challenge that came with this was the fact that we were forced to write something that precedes something that came before it. It's a weird way of putting it.
The album is it's a concept record, something that I'm actually really proud of. It's the storyline, and so we had questions of, do we make it a prequel? Should it just be completely separate? And ultimately, kind of where we wound up is the story is very much based in human emotion. I was thinking a lot about that, and also thinking a lot about kind of how state of the world and kind of what I'm seeing generally and kind of in my own work as a therapist, and basically seeing a lot of isolation, a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger, and just kind of watching the different ways that people try to cope with those things. And so I think that that's really what this EP is about, trying to cope, often ineffectively, with those negative emotions.
Without any qualifiers, I'm extremely proud of the songs we put out. I'm really excited to see what people think of these 4 songs. I would love to end it with just like, yeah, so we're gonna do our very best. We're gonna play a team game. We're gonna be there for each other. We're gonna go out. We're gonna win. We're gonna move to the next game. Just cut it after that.